Hello, my name is Gregory H. Arabian. I'm Public Information Officer and Judge Advocate for Post 41 Amvets, Corporal Paul S. Marsupial Post in Watertown, Massachusetts. And we're interviewing today a member of our post who served in World War II. His name is John Chilingerian. John, introduce yourself. To me, introduce yourself.
I'm John Chilingerian.
Where do you live, John?
I live in 115 Kingston. Do you want the address?
Well, you don't have to give the street address.
All right.
Give your town.
I live in Waltham, Mass.
Have you lived in Waltham all your life?
No, I lived in Watertown. Grew up in Watertown. And
you married?
Married.
How many children?
2 children.
Okay. Were you married when you first went into the service?
No.
So were you married during the service?
No.
You married after the service?
After I came out, yeah.
After you came out, okay. And what was your occupation before you were retired?
I have a beauty shop.
You had a beauty shop?
I still have it,
and what was your specialty during the term of service?
I was asthma tracker on 90mm guns.
Okay. And where did you serve, John?
The way my training was at Camp Stewart, Georgia, and we served. Do you want to know how far we went?
Go right ahead. Now, when you first
from Camp Stewart, we went to.
Well, let me just back up a bit. Were you drafted, or did you volunteer?
I was drafted.
You were drafted, and where did you report for service?
In Watertown, and Camp. I forgot the name.
Okay, so you volunteered. You were drafted in Watertown.
Right.
And this was in the U.S. Army.
Right, U.S. Army.
And how did you get into a AAA section? You were in AAA.
AAA anti-aircraft, right?
Anti-aircraft battery.
The reason because I flunked the test in the Air Corps.
All right.
On the Morse code. The guy next to me started to talk to me, and I fell behind. So every one of them, I did that.
Yeah.
That's true, is it?
Okay.
They gave you that.
You tried to get into the
Air Corps.
You tried to get into the Air Corps.
Because I was a junior birdman as a kid, so I thought maybe I'd be in the Air Corps.
Okay. And where did you go to try to get into the Air Corps?
Well, no. When I signed.
Where did you take your test?
Where the hell did we go?
That's all right.
Over here in.
In other words, you couldn't keep up with the Morse code.
Yeah.
So then they reassigned you to a AAA battery.
AAA.
Okay.
Right.
And you went to Georgia.
Georgia, Camp Stewart.
Okay. What did your basic training consist of? Other than learning how to salute officers and so forth.
Right. That's the basic training.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Marching.
And.
Did they give you any training with rifles?
Of course, the M1 rifle,
right.
And I first went into 40 millimeters.
Okay. Describe what a 40 millimeter gun is.
Wait a minute, I went into 40 millimeter guns, but I got sick from drinking Pepsi Cola.
Okay. What happened?
There was a commercial, Pepsi Cola, here's the spot, 12 full ounces, that's a lot.
Okay.
The commercial hit, I thought Pepsi Cola was the best drink for you. So I drank Pepsi Cola, but when everybody else was drinking booze, I was drinking Pepsi Cola. I killed my kidneys, and I ended up in the hospital.
Okay.
And then I got transferred from the 40 millimeters. When I came out, my outfit had gone to England. And
what outfit was that?
You think I can remember that?
You don't know. Okay.
791 probably or something.
Okay.
They got hit when somehow they got hit, that outfit. But I ended up with the 90 millimeters, and that's the beginning.
Describe for us what a 90 millimeter gun is.
90 millimeter guns is what they use. I haven't 20 years. I told you I have to rehearse.
That's okay.
90 millimeter guns is what I was an asthma tracker, elevation, and the gunner, and that shell has a 17 jewel watch, and then you put the fuse setter in, and when the leaves the barrel, you timed it so that you get the enemy planes. We also had what do you call it? Air? Can't think of the word.
So you had to make a judgment as to the altitude of the planes.
Plane identification.
Plane identification.
We had to learn all the different planes that Japanese had.
Okay.
And
this was in the Japanese theater rather than the Atlantic theater.
Not necessarily.
Well,
We had to learn all the different planes, even the German planes.
But did you serve in the Atlantic theater?
Well, I served the Pacific. We ended up going to New Guinea, and we spent the whole month in Hollandia Bay.
Where is that?
That's in the. That's right near the Philippines. That's the Hollandia Bay. Mm-hmm. Did you know?
No, I don't know where Hollandia Bay is, but it's in the Philippines.
The Philippines.
Okay, so let's pick it up from Georgia.
In Georgia, we had our basic training, 4 weeks.
Okay.
And we ended up in Tennessee. From Tennessee, we had our marching orders, went by train to Camp Stoughton in California.
And
Things I have to remember, you know.
And then from there?
From there, we went overseas on
Did you go by aircraft or did you go by ship?
By ship.
Okay. And when you got to your base in New Guinea, describe how you set yourself up there.
We landed in New Guinea. Our basic. Well, that was my first time in an island. It was amazing. We put our pup tents down, and I happened to pick the wrong place, and I put my head on the pillow, and I was in the. I got caught with rattlers.
Rattlesnakes.
So, rattlesnakes.
Okay. Tell me, how did you feel about the war when you entered it?
Very good. I was gung ho.
You were.
Oh yeah.
Did you feel when you say gung ho? Did you feel that you had to go?
I wanted to go.
Why?
Because of Pearl Harbor. When we got attacked, the first thing you think of is fight for your country. And then
how soon after Pearl Harbor did you enter the service?
Pearl Harbor, 1945, a couple of years.
So you were anxious to go?
1943.
43. So this would be about...
Well, I was too young at the time. You know, I was still in high school.
All right. Did you feel that the country was endangered at the time?
Not necessarily. I think the Japanese just hit Hawaii and then they pulled back, and
And as a result of that, you wanted to avenge the attack at Pearl Harbor. Is that it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Did you have any need to use the medical facilities? How's the medical care?
Very good. Very good. I've had dengue fever. I pulled out of it. I had bronchial pneumonia. I was in a danger list. Mm-hmm. You want to hear that story?
Go ahead.
I was in the hospital, and I was hacking away, coughing, and my buddy next to me came up to me about 2 o'clock in the morning. He said, he whispered in my ear, "I understand."
Go ahead.
He said, "I understand." He says, "You're gonna die sometime tomorrow. Will you die tonight?" He said, "I haven't slept for 2 weeks with your hacking and coughing and coughing."
Really?
So when I had enough of a breath in my system where I started going laughing, you know.
Yes.
Following morning, there was a new surgeon, a new doctor came into the area, and he had asked the nurse if they had penicillin. And she said, "I've never heard of it." They went in the refrigerator and found penicillin. I got 39 shots of penicillin. And to make a long story short, that pulled me right out of it. And I never got the name of the lieutenant doctor.
So they never knew what the penicillin was?
They didn't know at that time, no.
But they had something called...
So I had one of the first penicillin shots.
I see. And what fever did that...
I had dengue fever.
Dengue?
I had dengue fever on the ship.
What's dengue fever?
Dengue fever is the carrier a fly or a mosquito carries dengue. It's well known now, but at my time there wasn't. Nobody knew anything about dengue fever. There I went into 90 pounds. I couldn't eat. You have dysentery and you have dysentery, fever. It's like malaria, but it's worse.
So,
but I pulled out of that, and the doctor said to me, John, he said, from now on you're going to take vitamins. So he gave me these big, huge vitamins.
all right. Did you, when you were since you were in the Pacific area, did you have need for things like salt tablets and things like that?
Yeah.
Was it very hot?
Oh yes. We used to go in the interior of the jungles and go about 20 miles and come back thirsty.
I see. So you say the facilities in New Guinea, is it New Guinea?
New Guinea was maybe about a month or so we stayed in New Guinea, a month or 2 months the most.
Do you say the facilities there were good?
There were no facilities, there's jungles.
No facilities.
No. We make our own. The U.S. Army makes their own facilities. We won't make campgrounds, we get our own. They even took the water out of the rain into big barrels.
Okay.
All right.
So
and then
after New Guinea, where did you go?
That was we started to go to Philippines. We were slated to go to Leyte for D-Day. Right. And then the first wave got hit. And then that's where we were docked off in Hollandia Bay.
I see.
We stayed there a whole month. And we were dying to go on shore just to fight. We hated the ship.
Really?
We died on that ship.
What ship were you on? Do you recall?
No.
So you landed on Leyte at some time?
No. No.
From Hollandia Bay?
We stayed in Hollandia Bay, and then we were slated to hit D-Day in Manila. And so we hit, geez, I forgot, Mindanao? Mindanao? No. The Philippines, Tagalog or something, if I remember.
Were you actually involved in
We hit D-Day.
Combat?
Well, we hit the shore, we were lucky. The Japs went in the interior, they flew back. But that night was the most interesting night of all. We dug foxholes, and about 1 o'clock at night, the shots started to go. And most of the guys had dug up to their waist. You should see the dirt fly as soon as the shots. We found out that we were firing at each other. And I have a good buddy of mine. He was a sharpshooter, and he and I, when we were in the Philippines, I remember we were at the perimeter. We were in the first foxhole, and then that night,
did you dig
3 zeros. That night, 3 zeros came over.
Okay.
So we got our guns ready, and then we got a call from the Air Force. Don't shoot them. We're going after them. So they went after the zeros, and they got them. In fact, there were night fighters that they sent up. No, my mind's coming back.
That's good. That's good. Do you have a memory of actually shooting at any enemy aircraft?
No, the Air Force was just as, they were very good. 90 millimeters surround the Air Force base. If there was any kind of a airport, 90 millimeters are around protecting the Air Force. Perimeter.
Now, was your duty to protect the base from ground fire or from air fire?
Anything.
Anything.
Yeah, just to make sure that the Air Force wasn't hit.
Okay.
But we protected the Air Force. Okay. Mainly from the planes that had come over, like the zeros that the Japs were going to send over.
Okay, but they never did?
No.
Okay.
No, yeah, only 3 that came over after when we first landed.
Okay. When did you end your service?
Ended?
Yeah. When were you discharged?
May 1944.
May of 44. How did you feel about the war when you?
45. What am I talking
May
about?
May of 45.
Yeah.
Okay.
How did I feel about the war? Great. I think most of us, we loved going in service. I enjoyed it. I really had a ball.
And you knew you were going in harm's way?
Oh, yeah.
You knew you were going to...
But I personally, as you notice, I had a little comic strip. I mean, I'm a funny guy. I made everybody laugh. We did plays, skits. In fact, we came back on the Yorktown Carrier, and we put on a show. We did some burlesque skits. Then in camp, we put on some shows, and they...
Did you make many friends in the service?
Oh, that came...
It's all right.
I made a lot of buddies. Oh, yeah. Quite a bit.
Did you have any reunions after you left the service?
That's one thing that I regret that we haven't got together in the outfit. I belong to the 508 Battalion.
508?
508 AAA Battalion.
AAA Battalion.
Yeah, I was in D Battery.
And how many people were in D Battery? How many people composed the battery?
Jeez, I think about 120.
Really?
There were about 120 men in the battery.
120?
Well, yeah, four guns.
4 guns?
Yeah. Battery D, battery A, B, C, and D.
Would there be 120 on each battery? How many?
No. 120 in an outfit. I think about 120 in one outfit, which encompasses the 4 guns, 90 millimeters, machine gunners.
Is it fair to say that each gun was supported by 30 people?
90 millimeters?
Yes.
No.
How many people would support one gun?
Remember, this includes mess hall, radar. It includes gunners.
Describe for me the radar operation as it pertains to the anti-aircraft battery.
The radar senses the planes coming over, sends a message to the guns.
Okay.
So we had, and they would tell the direction they were coming. So the elevation tracker and the azimuth tracker, which was me, and we would go in sequence. He would say elevation on target, and then I would say azimuth on target. And my job was, when I was on the scope, to say fire, and the gunner would pull the arm on the gun.
So there was more than one person.
There's one, two, I think there's about 13 men on a gun.
Okay.
Now you want to know what happens? I don't know. We have it's a big outfit.
In other words, you gave the order to fire.
Right.
Once the elevation.
They changed that. Sometimes they would say, let the elevation man give the order to fire. And then they changed it and said, let the azimuth.
How did you determine the range of the aircraft you're going to fire? Did you have to determine what the altitude of the aircraft was? Or did the radar do that for you?
The radar does all that and sends the message over to us, and we go on the scopes, the telescope, and you would judge the plane.
How do you feel about the Japanese now?
Okay. I don't think that we should have that type of feeling anyway. It's all over. The years have gone by. You can't carry hate. Hate is not the right way to do it.
Would you buy a Japanese car?
Sure.
Do you hold anything against the Japanese people for what they did at Pearl Harbor?
No. The Japanese people I don't think most of them knew anything about it. It's the group of military, even the head, what was his name? Tojo. He didn't know anything about it either.
So your desire was to avenge Pearl Harbor when you went in.
Actually, we followed orders.
Right.
MacArthur was the general.
Did you ever see MacArthur?
No.
Okay.
I didn't feel like I wanted to see him. We didn't like.
You didn't like him?
No. That's a funny thing. Are you getting all this?
Sure.
What happened was every time
that
the units hit the beachhead, after we took the beachhead, right? MacArthur would come about 2 days later, and he'd tell the cameras what to do. He'd say, "Roll them," and he'd step on the water.
But you never saw any of this. Just what
no,
you heard.
We know. We knew what he did.
You knew. Okay.
We hit the biggest tornado, by the way, in Subic Bay.
And Did you interact with the Filipinos?
Oh, yes.
How did you feel about the Filipinos at the time?
Okay. They were fairly good people.
Did you interact with the local?
Yeah, well, I had Joe Sear and I had we put a tent up. Then we got the local Filipinos, which were good. They made a little hut for us with bamboo, and I have a funny story where I got outside and we put a water shower. You know, we installed a shower, he and I. But he was gone, I was alone, and I took all my clothes off. It was hot. Philippines are hot. And I was taking a shower, and suddenly I felt like somebody was looking. I turned around, there was a Filipino family.
Ah.
The whole family right there watching me take a shower. So I took my towel and I go, hey, you know. So the girl came over. She was a school teacher, and she said, we'll take your laundry if you want. Do you want to give us the business? I said, sure. So I gave her all our clothes, and she became my laundry girl.
What were laundry rates at that time? What did you pay them?
You're kidding. Chocolate, cigarettes.
So you didn't pay them in money?
No.
Okay. And you didn't run across any anti-war protests at any time during your service?
None at all.
How do you feel about the anti-war protests during the Korean conflict or the Vietnam conflict? What do you think about anti-war protests?
Yeah, that's a very difficult question. I don't think we should lose American soldiers over places where we can't. We made a lot of errors and mistakes in that here.
Okay, but now you see that what we're doing
I would never,
is fighting terrorism in foreign countries.
We're not losing any men either in this war.
Right. Do you think it's right for us to do
absolutely.
that? It is.
Well, in a way, you know what? I think that we're going to be. It's going to be another Vietnam, all of the way the Taliban and what they've done. It's going to be one of those very difficult situations. We can't police the whole world, and the religion. That religion is they're not using it properly. What I understand.
What did you feel about the anti-war protests during the Vietnam era?
At that time, I didn't like it, but now I think they were justified.
Mm-hmm. And have you
it takes a while Americans to wake up. And
have you interacted with any Vietnamese veterans?
No.
Okay. Now, did you take advantage of the GI Bill when you got out of the service?
Yes, I did.
What do you feel about the GI Bill?
It was good. It helped a lot of GIs because we fell behind. We didn't have the chance to go to college. We lost it because we came out of high school, and I tried to get in, and the BU and BC and all the colleges were filled, the quotas. I ended up.
Where did you go?
Where?
With the GI Bill.
Oh.
How did you utilize the GI Bill?
I tried to get into Emerson acting school, and they said you need 2 years. So I had to wait 2 years to get into BC or any local, one of the local colleges. But I met my girlfriend, who became my wife. And so I ended up going to photography school.
All right. And
in fact, I signed up for the in Buffalo. What is the name of the key? Got the wrong.
So did you go into photography or?
Yeah, it was my hobby. Photography was my hobby.
And did you utilize the GI Bill there?
No, I ended up, my sister-in-law was a hairdresser.
Okay. So
and I decided that I had enough working for other people, so I went in my own business eventually.
Okay.
And I became a hairstylist.
All right. So is it fair to say that you again struck out on your own after you got out of the service without any help from the GI Bill? Even though you felt
I went to hairdressing school on GI Bill.
You did?
Oh yes.
Okay.
And that helped.
Did you use the GI Bill to finance your loan for your home or anything like that?
No.
You didn't?
No. The only time I ever used the GI Bill was when I went to hairdressing school.
If there were any young people today who would ask you whether they should go into the service or not, what would you tell them?
It's up to the individual. If they like that type of, the U.S. Army is great, the Army, the Navy. I would suggest, I think that every young man or woman to go to high school, after high school, they should serve a couple of years in service.
Why is that?
The training is excellent. Every bit of the training with cleanliness.
They owed it out of a sense of patriotism that they should do this, or just as a learning experience?
A combination of all, patriotism and for their individual well-being. I think that people should serve a couple of years.
Did you feel when you were in the service that you were paying off the United States for any opportunities that your parents were entitled to when they came here?
Well, I don't know. That's a hard question. I never thought of it.
Some people say that they felt that they were also paying back to the United States for the benefits that their parents enjoyed when they came here from.
The parents never had any benefits.
Yeah.
Our parents and most of the immigrants that came to this country worked 14 to 20 hours a day.
Where did your parents come from?
Yeah, it's a good thing I didn't say 24 hours, right?
Where did your parents come from?
My parents came from Armenia. Part of it, where it's really in Turkey.
What part of Armenia?
Well, Armenians say Armenia, but it's Turkey.
What town?
Arapkir.
Arapkir. Arapkir.
Arapkir. There is an Arapkir in Armenia now.
Yes, but there was an Arapkir in
Turkey.
In Turkish-occupied Armenia.
Turkey.
That's what we call it,
right, absolutely.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that future generations might be able to glean from this interview that we've had with regard to the military service?
No, I think I've said it all. I think that young people in this country should serve. It's the best country in the world. And by serving, you not only help yourself, but you help just in case we are needed, you're ready and you're prepared. We should have an army already prepared.
So you like the idea of a volunteer army?
Absolutely.
And what do you think of the service today as a capable fighting branch?
It's much, much better than it was before. I think it's getting better and better. They're doing well.
Okay.
Service is great.
Okay, then we'll terminate this interview with John Chilingerian, who has given us his experiences with regard to the Army and his...
I didn't tell you all my funny experiences.
Well, we've got funny experiences coming down on the next one. Thank you very much.
Okay.
This is Greg Arabian, terminating the interview at this time. Thank you very much.